as a hedge, against more stimulus into the economy. So we've got a guest to talk more about Bitcoin today. So from the Independent Reserve, a cryptocurrency exchange in Sydney, we've got Adrian Schwarzenegger. Adrian, thanks for joining us.
It's my pleasure, David.
So since you're in the business of Bitcoin and cryptocurrency, tell us, in your view, why has the price of Bitcoin risen so much this year?
Yeah, it's been an incredible year. I guess from our perspective, it was probably the busiest year that we've had at Independent Reserve since about 2017, since the last big bull run that we had. And I think a large reason for this, as you alluded to earlier, is the quantitative easings that have been happening around the world. A lot of governments have been printing a lot of money, and it's been hard to get returns in traditional investments, and like the more, I guess, normal asset classes haven't been producing any returns at all. So I guess a lot of investors have been looking for a hedge against inflation. They've been looking for a safe haven asset that can't be arbitrarily inflated by government, can't be manipulated, and cryptocurrencies presents a really attractive option for that. So what we've seen over the last year is a lot of much larger, more sophisticated investors enter this space. We've seen a lot of hedge funds really begin to allocate into this area. We've seen some large companies allocate to this, and we're also seeing a lot of banks entering this area as well. So I think it's really a sign of the growing maturity of the industry, and it's really becoming seen as a more accepted asset class. And it's like just one of those things that you would hold in a portfolio.
So what do you think is different about this time? I mean, back in December 2017, Bitcoin prices surged to $20,000 US, which was a record high at the time. But then within 2 months, its value crashed big time. And then in January 2019, it went below $3,500 US. So is this time any different?
Yeah, so I guess the last big boom, it was very much retail driven. So we saw a lot of retail interest, like I remember my cab driver was trying to tell me to buy some Bitcoin, and that was really a sign that we had a big retail driven boom. Whereas I think right now it's more institutionally focused, and also the infrastructure in the industry is a lot more mature. So I guess all the companies that were around back in 2017 have had 3.5 years to really mature and improve their infrastructure, improve their governance. So I would expect this boom to be a lot more sustainable than the last.
I mean, there are those who are incredibly skeptical about Bitcoin. They say it's not a reliable source of value, which a currency's got to be. Bitcoin's just incredibly volatile. I mean, one day it might surge 100%, it could plunge by 50% hypothetically. So that could make it tough for people to budget, especially if they're trying to buy mundane things like milk or electronics or anything really.
Yeah, so I think what we're seeing is a shift from the way Bitcoin is being viewed by investors. So I guess, initially, the promise of Bitcoin was peer-to-peer electronic cash. It was meant to be cash for the internet and be used to make normal everyday payments. And it hasn't really matured in that way. It's matured more as a store of value, more as something more like a gold, I suppose. And as it matures and as its market cap increases, we're seeing volatility decrease. So, when it was in its infancy, 2011, 2012, the volatility was actually much, much higher because the market cap was a lot lower. So it was much easier, for any large player to really move the price. And as the market cap increases, it takes a lot more, a much larger investor to be able to move the price. So we're going to see volatility decrease over the next year or two, I think, as the market cap increases. And it'll become less of a risky investment, but it is still very, very volatile, of course.
Adrian Schwarzenegger, thank you very much for your insights.
It's my pleasure.
All right, so that was Adrian Schwajny, the CEO of Independent Reserve, which is a cryptocurrency exchange, on the crazy rise of Bitcoin this year. Selena?
Yeah. David, how's the rest of the market looking today?
Well, nowhere near as bullish, but still a pretty decent day. I mean, the Australian share market has given up some of its early gains, but it's still in decent gains territory. So I guess over the last month, it's really been boosted by COVID vaccine optimism. And over the weekend, what we had was US President